Good afternoon, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. The only thing I would like to say, I've been practicing as an actuary for 50 years, and as a consulting actuary for 40 years, and the Social Security actuary for 30 years. And I think this is probably enough. The three, with the exception of our colleague from Kenya, our colleague from NHIF and from NSSF, have done great job in their organizations. What I'm going to be talking about today is not what I have done in my organization. What I'm going to do is what you should be doing in your organizations. If you permit me, we were just saying what is the role of the actuary when we are talking about investment. So if we move forward, these two slides, the first two slides I'm going to put are really irrelevant to what I'm going to say, but talks about the magnitude of the investments of infrastructure as far as social securities are involved in some countries. And this particular slide talking about the different allocations of different social securities in Africa in particular, but these are, as you know, segregated averages. So this is where I would like to stop at. I think almost every one of you have heard the word actuary, but really you look at us as mathematicians. The definition of an actuary within the International Actuarial Association is really clearly saying we are social mathematicians. This is something very, very important. And we have duty for the public interest, which is more important to say that. So this is what I would like to leave you with, this kind of definition of what an actuary is. And when we are with whether social security organization or insurance companies, we have a public interest at heart. So what are we going to bring to the table when we are talking about infrastructure in particular? Masha mentioned the total assets of NSSF is about $10 billion. And he put the word net. When we think of net assets, we think as if it is, wow, this is something we can use easily. Because technically speaking, the word net, it means net of any other obligations. So really, if you look at the obligations of social security organizations, then we have to total about total assets less the obligation, and then you look at the net assets. And this is only between parentheses what I would like to say. By the way, at least some social securities, they look at every year income in excess of benefit as surplus, which is awful. So that tells the politicians, we are making money. So give more benefits or demand lower contributions. So these are terminologies that we have to worry about when we are talking about what are we looking at when we are looking at the investments. This particular example I put in is a true example. The reason I went back to 2015 is to show you what was the projection in 2015. Now we are in 2025. We survived that projection. So we have the figures of 2025 as was predicted in 2015. So this organization, right now in 2025, will have what we call, if we want to call it as assets, will have a fund like this. This fund is going to be depleted completely in 2038. So these assets are spoken for. And this decline is when we are talking about how these funds, that assets that we have, are going to be paid out, and we are assuming they will have the same value. But we all know that these assets will have lesser value when you start to liquidate them. They are good on books as long as you don't sell them. And we all know that the average infrastructure investment range between 10 years to 30 years as a duration. So this particular fund, which I'm not naming it, this particular fund is no way can even think of investing in infrastructure. within 7-8 years they will have no money. They need the money in the next 7-8 years to pay the benefits. So these are the things that I wanted to leave you with today. So in my presentation, I talked a lot about responsibilities, and many of you have heard the word ALMs and so on and so forth, but it's very, very important to look at the liabilities duration. I would like to comment to the presentation that started with Irene a little bit earlier when she said, we at NHF, we are on the short-term business unlike the others. To some extent, she's correct, but not fully. As long as NHF only provide benefits to the active populations, they are in the short-term business. But if they think, and they do think, and they do practice, provide healthcare for the retirees, they are in the long-term business. So technically speaking, from now they have to think 75 years down the line. They have to think 3 generations to come. So they have to have 2 funds. Funds for their actives and what we call pre-funding for the retirees. And I'm very proud to say I was the first actuary in the world, not in Africa, not in Lebanon, in the world, that insisted on financing healthcare after retirement as pre-funding the way we pre-fund pensions. We are delivering a paper on something called implicit health debt, because usually there is only implicit pension debt. Nobody was talking about implicit health debt. So we are introducing this concept that government have to take in consideration when government provides promises for their population of healthcare after retirement. So I'm going to go quickly, and here I'm going to ask all the participants. I know in Tanzania we have 3 universities that are providing actuarial science education. Many other countries in the region do not. Kenya is well established. Of course, South Africa, Zimbabwe are established, but many other African countries in East Africa, actuarial education is not well established. So I urge you as employers, as social security organization, to work closely with your universities, because you need actuaries. You don't want actuaries like myself. You want African actuaries, and introduce in Africa, educated in Africa, and to serve your needs. So this is where we are talking very much in promoting the actuarial profession in Africa, from Africa. I have these 2 slides that I would like to share with you just for fun. We all watch sometimes, not all, most of us probably watch, other than watching football, we watch Formula 1. And this race, people don't realize how sophisticated it is. It is not how fast the car goes. It is so many things that goes into winning this race. Managing this race, you have to ask yourself so many questions. And you, as organizations, you have to ask yourself so many questions. Where we are coming from, where are we going, what are the tools we are having, what are the regulations we are bound by. These are issues that you have to ask yourself. Otherwise, you can manage your journey like this. So you have to decide which kind of journey you are going to take. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ibrahim Muhanna, for that profound presentation.